The Trump administration is showing you their priorities in the latest government shutdown. Since the beginning of this shutdown, the last one happened in 2019, the government has been spending millions of dollars, almost $10 million, on ads, anti immigrant ads like these. So look at that. So, yeah, oh boy, bit problematic there, isn't it? Okay. Not just those, you got these. That's definitely problematic because they're stealing IPs. Okay. Not that they care at all. Not that Microsoft is, who owns Halo, the Halo franchise, is going to say anything to this administration. No, although, Frodo might have something to say about this. Okay. Just saying. Yeah, there's that. Oh, and by the way, I do have more here. Just one more to show you. All right. So there's that. Defend the homeland. Ah, yes. Defend the homeland, everyone. So those are the ads that they are spending money on. And it's not just those specifically. There's TV ads, ads on social media, of course. But yeah, they're spending a ton of money on these ads while Snap is set to run out. Great. Awesome. Now, analysis shared by Newsweek, with Newsweek by Equis, a research and polling organization focused on Latinos and Priorities USA, which mainly monitors election campaigns, showed ads continuing to run across social media and TV channels as other vital government services are frozen. Here are the details. Using data from Priorities USA ad hoc platform, Equis found that DHS and ICE continued ad spending between October 1st and 21st, despite the government shutdown, which has led to about 900,000 workers being furloughed and roughly 2 million going without pay. Over those 3 weeks, ICE spent $4.5 million on paid media, while DHS spent over $5.3 million on ads aimed at undocumented immigrants, as well as part of recruitment for ICE agents. Equis said that ICE has spent over $13 million on its ads since August alone, including targeted campaigns in sanctuary cities such as Seattle, Boston, and Chicago. Natalia Campos Vargas, a deputy research director at Equis, told Newsweek, quote, "Millions of people are at risk of losing their food stamps and are about to go hungry because of this government shutdown. But somehow the Trump administration and DHS and ICE are choosing to spend millions of dollars on ad campaigns. That just feels inherently wrong to me as a taxpayer. As it should. As it should. Yes, it is an absolute waste. Okay. Yeah, I would rather have people fed. It just shouldn't be controversial. But there's more. Now, the Trump administration officials. So here's the thing, right? So you might point out how, well, look, USDA, funds the SNAP program. And the USDA is a different, part of the government than the DHS. And DHS has a whole bunch of money now. Yes, that's true. They do, thanks to Trump's big, beautiful bill. They're actually using a $10 billion fund. That's $10 billion funds, okay? Enacted as part of Trump's law to pay the Department of Homeland Security and law enforcement employees during the shutdown. Okay, the shift in funds was described by 3 people who spoke anonymously because the details of the plan haven't been made public. Another person said that other money in the law, a $3.3 billion fund for the Justice Department, is being used for federal law enforcement employee pay. This is one of the reasons, by the way, Trump doesn't care about ending the shutdown. Trump already has the money allocated for the things that he cares about. And so I believe he is content to let everything else go to shit, including food. Okay? This is a win-win for him. You have to understand. The man, Trump has always hated poor people. It doesn't matter if poor people voted for him. Remember, he even said it himself. I don't care about you. I just want your vote. That's it. I mean, again, he doesn't care. Doesn't give a damn. And of course, there's another reason, too, that he's totally fine with the shutdown. Not only is his priorities continue to be funded, but also, as long as the government shut down and the Congress is not in session, he can hide the Epstein files. Oops. So now, Campos Vargas said that this appeared to be at odds with the Trump administration's messaging that the critical services were going without funding because of the budget impasse that Republicans are blaming squarely on Democrats and undocumented immigrants, trans people. I mean, that's exactly what they're blaming. This whole thing, like, the Democrats are trying to fund health care for illegals and gender mutilation. No, none of that is true. None of that is true. Okay. In fact, in reality, Democrats are just saying, let's roll back the gigantic cuts to Medicaid that is hurting poor people, Trump supporters. Okay, let's roll that back. Okay, and extend the ACA tax credits so that people do not have their health insurance like costs skyrocket. That's the reality of the situation. Now, the government is generally not permitted to keep spending on media campaigns during a government shutdown. These campaigns have continued because they're claiming that they're essential messaging. Okay. They're either essential messaging or they are funded with already appropriated funds that cannot be diverted. Oh, so even if we want to, we can't take money from these ads. This is one of the arguments they could use. And put it towards food stamps. We have to keep running because it's congressionally appropriated. But wait a minute. There's other congressionally appropriated funding that Trump has decided not to use. He's supposed to use it. He is mandated by law to fund these things, but he's like, I don't really feel like it. I don't really want to. I don't like this program. So I'm not gonna fund it. I'm gonna hold these funds. Okay. I'm gonna hold it back from these programs because I don't like them. Well, they can't use that argument then. Okay. It's impoundment. And there's a big legal fight over that. Okay. Whether or not he's actually allowed to do that. But getting back to the point here, of course, this administration would consider what is essentially white nationalist imagery and language, okay, and efforts to recruit people to ICE as essential. Of course, they would consider that essential, but not food for poor people. No, of course not. Now the thing is that there actually is a $6 billion contingency fund that could fund SNAP all the way through November. They could use that, okay, to ensure that the 42 million people who rely on SNAP don't go hungry. But again, just as I mentioned before, Trump and this administration, they just don't feel like it, man. They don't really want to. They don't like SNAP anyway. And so this shutdown actually gives them a pretty big opportunity to take food stamps, or to take food, I should say, out of the mouths of hungry kids, of which 40% of SNAP recipients are. Okay, that's 20 million people. As well as adults with disabilities, elderly folks, and people who, yes, work full-time, but still don't make enough money to be food secure, that they are still food insecure while working a full-time job. Republicans hate these people. They really do. They hate poor kids, okay? And they're consistently trying to take food out of their mouths. Of course they are. They consider them to be worthless eaters and should get a job. Okay? Pull yourself up by your bootstraps, little children, little hungry kids, disabled adults. Pull yourself up by your bootstraps. Oh, you don't have any boots? We don't care. That's it. Look, there are a lot of people that believe that if you cannot enrich a corporation with your labor, that you should just die. That's it. That's what this comes down to now. That's what it comes down to. Now, Campos Vargas told Newsweek, because of the nature of being government entities, these are tracked as nonpartisan spends on ad platforms. They're subject to different rules and things like that. They aren't political in nature because they're meant to be government agencies, but it is very clear in the speech that is used that it is highly political in nature. Yes, and that's understand this is what the Trump administration's been doing. I mean, some of you in the chat have mentioned, like, hey, at the USDA website, you still have notices, big old banners, right, about the shutdown, claiming that, hey, this is the fault of Democrats, trans people, and immigrants. That's why you're not going to get your money. That's why you're going to go hungry. That's purely political messaging. So they don't care. They're using the government to do politics. Okay, which is again supposed to be nonpartisan, non-political. Okay, for these very, very important, like life-saving, whatever, agencies, right? Programs. They're not supposed to do that kind of partisan political messaging. But they are under this administration, and nobody's going to do anything about it. And that's the problem. They've made everything political in probably the worst ways possible. So it's not exactly surprising to me then that they will continue to air and post these very, very political, sometimes white nationalist type ads, while at the same time watching about 40 million people go hungry. It's just who they are. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, subscribe, hit the bell icon in order to get notified whenever a new video is released. And if you want to support independent, progressive media through this difficult time where it seems like everybody is shutting down, you can become a member on our YouTube page, you can become a subscriber on Facebook, or you can go to my Patreon. It's patreon.com/Jeff Waldorf. Thank you.